Hi, everybody. Welcome to COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. I am your host, Casey Wallace, and on today's program, we have an extraordinary practitioner, Phyllis Douglas, who is gifted with an extraordinary talent, a way of transmuting communication and energy from the angelic realm through her vocal talents and also her physical and virtual energy work to assist everybody through the difficulties and challenges and limitations in their life, assisting them not only into healing and expansiveness for themselves, but I love to say the acceleration of their own consciousness. You know, we love to seek out the assistance of masters in all form who are here on the Earth ship at this time, in this timeline, to assist us to know ourselves further as the empowered beings that we truly are. We've had the pleasure of having communication and other programming with Phyllis, and when we decided to do this COVID-19 program and provide more positive spin insight, we knew we just had to have her on. If you're not familiar with her, you're going to get familiar with her right now in this program, and of course we're going to allow you to have further contact information so that you can take your relationship with Phyllis even more personal or more deep after you hear this conversation. Phyllis, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for that beautiful intro.
We love, of course, your modality. Anytime you've ever done it, you know, Brad and I get transfixed in the transmission. And in this program, we love your channeling talents. You know, we know you have communications with the angelic realm. You are from that realm. We know they have loving perspective. We know they have supportive perspective. And from what you can see in your level of consciousness and your feelings and your knowings as to what's taking place now, let's talk to the audience about that. What is the information that you think you see and know and can provide optimism for everybody at this time?
Well, you know, the other day I found myself captivated, which is unusual for me, by the news. And so I was watching a lot of news program after program, video after video, whatever, sometimes I dive in and I'm trying to get a deeper perspective of what is going on in the world and what is actually happening, right? Versus my own intuitive guidance that I receive as to kind of what is really happening, because there's a lot of fear happening in the world. And so at that point, I allowed myself to take a little bit of a deep dive and come out of that. And it was kind of like I was complaining about it in the way that I was feeling. And the angels told me, they're like, don't place yourself into a mental prison. And I realized, I was like, oh, that like hit me. That's exactly what I was doing and what a lot of people are doing, right? They're allowing themselves to kind of lower their frequency by taking on everything that's happening in the world. And it's really about rising, just trying to rise above it a little bit so that you have a higher perspective, because obviously it's there. Obviously people are hurting. Obviously people are sick and things are happening and so forth. But it's really having a higher perspective of what that means for you in your life, and what that means for all of humanity that is looking upon the landscape as it is right now and trying to figure out what that's about, what it's really about. There's COVID-19 and people are becoming sick and so forth. But at the same time, for me, it's an opportunity. And what I realized, I'm really grateful for that opportunity, because kind of being, quote, locked up here at home and really not being able to be with my community, physically with my community, being able to do the things that usually have taken up and filled every moment of my day, right? And you look back at that and you're kind of like, that's not even important. And so I think a lot of times we do these things and we're on automatic as we go through our days and go through our life. We get up, we get dressed, we brush our teeth, we eat breakfast, we go to work, you know, we come home, we cook dinner. It's like this this life that we've created for ourselves on a day-to-day basis, that really the majority of it has you being on automatic. And so even I'm working with individual clients, and when I'm with an individual client, it's a whole different thing, right? But as soon as I leave that session, I'm going back into the mundane world. I'm going back into regular life. And so when they were saying, don't place yourself into a mental prison, it was like I realized that this was an opportunity, that this opportunity is then a catalyst that's allowing me to truly find myself again, right? And to kind of surrender, not even kind of surrender, but it's really, I had to surrender. And then all of a sudden, all of this divine inspiration and insight that I'd been receiving, or those things that I'd kind of shoved on the back burner that I didn't have time for, all of a sudden that kind of came flooding forward into my life. And I started to dream vividly again. And I started to hear things more again about how to move forward and what to do from this moment in this situation, and how to reinvent myself and my work so that I can still benefit humanity in the world, even from here. So as I stated earlier when we were talking, it's about, for me, creating videos, for me, connecting with my community through Zoom. We've been doing that, and that's a heap load of fun. I hadn't even realized the energetics of that, the community not having to be physically present, but being energetically present. And with all of the opportunities we have now to be online, and we've got things like Zoom and FaceTime, and just picking up the phone, or really a cell phone, and having a conversation with someone now has really kind of changed my perspective. And it's allowed me to settle into, one, a space of surrender, as I said, but being kind of calm and in a state of kind of unconditional love, gratitude, surrender to whatever is there for me that I hadn't had time to see. And so I've discovered a lot. And so in that discovery as well, one of the other things that I have found, that because I'm able to sit more in a state of stillness and quiet and not doing this, a lot of things have come forward for me to kind of more deeply look at and let go of, that have been creating, the best word I can come up with is resistance in my life, right? And even a little bit of self-sabotage, things that I hadn't realized I'd been doing that had been keeping me from moving closer to, or more deeply into, my truth, my purpose, my passions, right? And so a lot of that has been coming up for me because I think my angels and spirit are out there. It's like, we got her. There she is, right? And so that's the way I've been feeling. It's like all of a sudden, spirit is more deeply tapping in and showing me things, and giving me messages and telling me things, and offering me guidance, more so than I have in the day-to-day grind type thing been able to really pay attention to for myself, because I've been spending a lot of time paying attention to others, helping others through my work. And unfortunately, like most people do, they don't pay as strict attention to themselves.
I also love this, kind of leaning into what you're saying. Even those of us who are practitioners, we get into our routines. We get into our own distractions. Like you said, the way we do business, the way and for what we present to our client and to our customers and things like that. And this is really shoving us back into creative flow for ourselves, creating something different, creating something new, more expansiveness, which is your soul at work. Your soul is always creative, always expanding. And yeah, it's kind of that altered ego that snubs us, gets us in a comfort zone. Yeah, I'm going to get around to doing that someday when I have time. And it seems like it's just going to be kind of a pain in the rear, to end up having to do that. And now it's like, okay, well, guess what? Now you have all this time. Your distraction has been stripped away from you. Now what's your excuse, right?
Exactly.
No excuse. Your creativity. Yeah.
Exactly. And well, I tried to come up with some excuses. They didn't pan out, but part of it was like I was distracting myself for time with other things, like sitting down and watching television, or just distracting myself, or eating, or whatever it is. I realized, though, I sat down one moment and I heard that message, "You're distracting yourself." It was pretty loud and clear, and I was like, yeah, I know. But so I realized, I'm like, okay, what am I distracting myself from? Right. And when I started to really think about that, it was kind of like I was feeling, oh my gosh, this has happened, so I can't do anything. Everything's over. My clients are gone. My business is over, type of thing. I can't do anything yet. I'm going to have to wait to do something at the other side of this. But really, that wasn't true at all, because from a Toltec, because I study Toltec shamanism, and from a Toltec perspective, life is art. You're creating life as art. And so for me, I sat down with that statement about, what have I created thus far? Is it a beautiful work of art? Like, what have I created thus far? And then what can I create now from this space? And I found that you can weave, you can create this beautiful art as life from a new perspective. It's kind of like, instead of drawing, right, you're choosing a different medium. I might be molding clay, or I might be painting, or I might be doing all of this. So those are different aspects or elements of who I am that I'm now kind of bringing forward and into this moment to create this beautiful piece of art that is much different and much deeper than what I had created prior to COVID-19, right? So COVID-19, so to speak, has been kind of a stepping stone forward. It's been a catalyst, right? But it's also been this, for lack of a better term, like a structure that I can climb up. Almost like, it reminds me of, I have the image of a fire tower. You can go out in the deep wilderness and you can climb up these old fire towers and you can see the landscape around, and they utilize those to see if there's a fire or see if there's smoke. But I see myself climbing, I see COVID-19 as this fire tower, and I climbed up to the top so I can see above that and go, okay, what is here for me in this? How am I utilizing this to find myself? How am I utilizing this to reinvent myself or recreate myself from this, in this moment? Not really from this moment forward, but in this moment.
And people, they hear all this stuff. Yeah, I'm good. And like we said, you're going to get around to it someday. And people avoid the inner journey. We just really do. Part of us just we don't want to uncover the muck. We don't want to see the limitations that we have. Of course, that doesn't ever resolve any of that for us, and the expansiveness of it. What I love too is the discernment process. You can I was kind of laughing and saying, boy, isn't this the opportunity to truly identify your tribe based on their reaction to what's going on? It's one thing to speak what you think you are, and then to be thrust into a massive amount of perceived limitation and see how you either respond or react to that. And you have revealment, right in front of you. And, thankfully, most of what I thought was my tribe is in the way that they've responded, just like with you coming on this show and having that optimistic look, that deeper perspective. That's what can we do now, and not just what can we do, but I'm doing it. Okay, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, we have the opportunity to do this. It's like, well, but are you doing that? I am. I'm part of me is human, and I've let that lag, but now I'm doing these things. And that's the encouragement, for this program that we want for people. So we know that in your shamanism practice, you must have practices that you do, daily practices that you probably teach, your students how to get into their calm space, how to get into their creative space, how to get into their healing space and their alignment. Phyllis, what are some of the things that, if you don't mind sharing with us, that you do on a daily basis, or that perhaps you can set out for a suggestion for our audience that will help them find this calm space for themselves?
Well, one of the things is meditation, but the angels don't like the word meditation because it has very deep connotations. It's broad perspective. And so meditation to them is not more than 20 minutes of sitting in stillness, in communion with Source, Creator, God, right? And so that's one of the things that I do a couple times a day. It's kind of my tune in, tap in, check in, plug in type thing, where I just sit in stillness, and I sit in that the energetics of that I'm feeling that the light of God, which is me, right, at that same time. So in communion, and that's fueling me, right? That's healing me, that's transmuting energy, and that's transforming me in some way, shape, or form. And I also sit there and I ask my higher self in that state questions. Like if I'm feeling stuck, or what's my next step, or what should I do? And I always receive an answer, if not in that moment, then later in the way that's most beneficial for me. The other thing that I do to kind of transmute those feelings that are coming up, or to surrender to the resistance I might be feeling somewhere in my body or in my mind, is to drum. I'll just sit with my drum and I'll just start to drum. Yesterday I drummed for almost 45 minutes, and it just takes me into this whole other state. But I've been really feeling a lot of energies that I know have come forward from my ancestry, from lives past, from childhood, that have found the opportunity right now, that have been triggered by things that are happening. And so finding a way to bring forward that energy, transmute it or release it, is really important. And a lot of people don't have a tool, or they don't really realize they have a tool. And so they're holding all of that within them. They're harboring that energy, or they're stewing in that energy, and it's disrupting their lives. So drumming and some form of meditation, or singing bowls, playing a singing bowl and just listening to the sound. And if you don't have that, playing some type of ambient music and kind of breathing into that, and just allowing yourself to enter a space of surrender and communion. Right?
Thank you for that, because we are big supporters also of the healing waves of sound in a format. I think some people think, well, I don't know how to play drum, and we're like, a 1-year-old knows how to play the drum. Just stick something in your hand and start pounding on something. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I mean, you can be a very talented musician, but that's not necessarily the point of using the healing vibrations of sound. Just make a sound, and you're gonna find a rhythm to it, and you're not trying out, for the symphony here. You're
Right.
just breaking things up, stimulating things, and moving things. And what a better time to be doing that than in this stillness, rather than in the hurriedness of your life. Oh, I got 10 minutes to drum, and then I got to go pick up the kids, and then I got blah, blah, blah. And now you're like, wow, I can, strike that drum and feel that going, into your body, or the singing bowl, or the chime, or whatever is going to work, for you. And it's interesting too, I think, Phyllis, to see how that expands itself. You might think you're going to be doing the same thing each time, but you don't. Those tones change, that depth, changes, and I love to allow it to literally kind of resonate and wake up my brain. Let's break up the fog, of my brain for my reasoning. When you are assisting people through your vocals are the most powerful thing. I think they're way above and beyond the singing bowls and the drums and stuff, for people. And you are guided, just through your connection with the angels to work really individually with people. It is the most profound thing. If you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about what that is in what you do. And of course, you are able to offer that through Zoom meetings and stuff. I know, because we've done it with you too. So let's explain to everybody how your vocal and your toning through your vocals takes this theory times a million for people's release and connection for things.
Well, first of all, anyone can vocalize, anyone can do it. So when we talk about on a personal perspective of just feeling into your body and allowing whatever sound begins to come out and vocalizing that and then allowing that to build, people can easily do that, because within us there's a tone and a tonal frequency that is the vibration or resonance of who we are in the moment, and we can easily tap into that. So with my because I work with angels, that what I am doing then is translating the higher light frequencies into sound and bringing them through. So those frequencies are encoded in some way, shape, or form, meaning they hold some form of meaning, activation, or transmission. And so I do that in groups, and then I can do that privately for people online as well. And I typically call it soul alchemy or song alchemy readings, right? And so when I work one-on-one with people, I'm tuning into your energy, your frequency at the time, and those tones that come through to transform or transmute or whatever is meant for you in that moment will come through in a song, right? And then I will sing that to you. When I work with people online, I do that in person, so speak via Zoom, but I also send you a recording. So it's a higher level recording as an MP3 or a WAV file that I send to you so that you can continue to listen to that. Right? Yeah, and so the voice is, as you stated, one of the key instruments that we carry with us all the time that we can use to heal. Tonally, rhythmically, qualitatively, and so forth, just like when we listen to external music, like classical music or something that we find calming, right? Or something we find invigorating. We can do that in our voice as well. And so the physical body, the mind, the energetic, your energy is going to begin to entrain with the vocalizations and going to begin to draw you down into a more meditative, calm, healing state.
What comes to mind when you speak of that is, when we were children, we just sang all the time, or a lot of people did. Blah, 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 make a little tune out of this, make a little tune out of that, walking home from school, playing out in the street, blah, 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 blah. And, so children just do this so freely and not really realizing, of course, the extraordinary benefits of some of that silliness. Then, of course, like for my own self, I have no ability to sing whatsoever, and so I hid that away, shamefully hid that away. You would never speak, you would never catch me singing in a group, not even singing happy birthday in a crowd, in the living room, because, I wasn't gonna admit to everybody. I'm like Cameron Diaz's character in in that movie, My Best Friend's Wedding, when she's like doing the karaoke and she's so bad, okay, that actually everybody in the audience starts rooting her on, I think because she's so bad, okay? That would be my character. And, but then becoming a mother, when I became a mother, I re-engaged that kind of silly little song stuff with my kids when I'd be feeding them, or when I'd be changing their diaper, or when I'd be doing something, and there were little silly songs, and I still do that, of course, with my grandchildren. And my animals, I have a private bird sanctuary here on my property with parrots, and so in the morning I'm sing the good morning song to them. All the silliness, okay? But it's very healing, you know. It's gets that focus, it gets that clarity. We don't realize it, but I think what I'm supporting here is, I think we're naturally drawn to sing until we cut that off for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so to open that back up for ourselves is kind of extraordinary. I guess maybe even if it's just in the shower or in the car, you know, wherever we're going.
Well, yeah, it's toning, sounding, and singing. And my husband always laughs, and he can tell if I'm frustrated or too much penitent because I make these silly sounds. And it's like popping a pill for something. And I've started to boop, which is really funny. I'll just go boop. And it just dispenses any energy that's building. And so it's a silly little thing that I've been doing since I can remember, since I was like a little girl. I was booping, but and then I hadn't done it for a while, and then it came back this year. So it's kind of silly, but it's like any type of release or sound is actually like a pressure cooker release. It's releasing steam. It's releasing pent up tension within the body. It's releasing, relieving stress. And so singing and just sounding, you are sending out energy when you do that. So it's literally like the little valve on a pressure cooker, just to kind of do that for yourself. Mm-hmm.
Phyllis, do you feel in alignment to do a few moments of your vocalizations for everybody who may be tuning in and feeling stress
Sure.
and pressure? We would really love that. That would really be a gift for everybody. So if you're watching this program, what I would like to invite you to do with Phyllis's generosity in her gift is to sit right now and close your eyes. Just relax wherever you're at, wherever this programming is meeting you, and close your eyes and breathe and just allow her to work her magic with you for a few moments, and then we'll be back to kind of finish up this transmission. So I'm going to join all of you, and I'm going to close my eyes as we experience this extraordinary vocalization from her.
Om. Om. Esa desuyene natrasun, erolishere amon, erolishere le mondo ea. Ne sai no tremendan, ne sai tu tremendane. Odeam.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being with our audience today in your calmness, and your wisdom. Phyllis, let's talk for a moment, if you don't mind. Please tell everybody how they find you, how they contact you, and how they could get more information on your services.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the best way to connect with me is via my website, which is phyllisdouglas.com. So it's PHYLLISDOUGLASS.com. And so everything is on there that you could possibly imagine that Phyllis does.
Wonderful. As parting words for our audience, any kind of parting words of inspiration for everybody at this time?
Don't be a worrier, be a warrior.
Thank you for that. Thank you know, the t-shirt, the bumper sticker, the flag outside of our property for everybody. We here at Xpnsion Network are sending all of you just uplifting, high frequency, positive energy at this time. Take this time to discover yourself, rediscover yourself, and rediscover yourself. Unleash yourself. Unleash your compassion for your own self and everyone else, please, as we come through this opportunity, embracing all of the power that we are and that we hold within. Phyllis Douglas certainly can assist you in doing that, as well as all of the presenters on this program. Xpnsion Network also encourages you to check out all the programming on the platform, for all of it is designed to support how absolutely extraordinary you are. We want to thank you for being with us for this program and invite you to stay tuned or check out the other programs in this library content, and begin your day with us, perhaps end your day with us, or any time that you want to use the power of insight for yourself. Thanks, everybody. I'm Casey Wallace, and I'll be back with you for the next COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. Thanks so much.